Well, hello there everybody, welcome back to the channel. Dodgy Gamer here with another video for you for the beginnings of Football Manager 2021. Now in my last video we looked at how you might go about choosing a club, some options you might consider. Today we're going to be thinking about long-term saves. How can you set up a save so that it's going to keep you coming back for many seasons and not just be something you get sick of after a season and a half. And before we go any further, I've just shrunk down here to remind you to hit that subscribe button. But the first thing I would say is start with a plan. Set yourself a goal, an aim, a target, something that you can achieve in the career you've got planned ahead. So it could be something short-term, taking a mid-table team, someone like Everton in the Premier League, or Espanyol in La Liga, and trying within a few seasons, maybe 5 seasons, to turn them into champions. Or it could be something more medium to long term, where you're going to take a team from lower down in the divisions and try to take them right up to the top. Or maybe some grand scheme to conquer the world, doing the Pentagon Challenge, winning the 5 different Champions Leagues. And of course your goals don't just have to be about winning titles. You might want to do a youth challenge, where you try to build the team up only using players from your own academy. You might want to try a homegrown challenge, doing the same thing but only using players from the country your team is based in. But whatever the aim, the important thing, the key thing is this is something that's going to give your career some focus, give you something to drive towards. Of course you have to be realistic with setting your goal. You can't aim for consecutive promotions and then immediate Premier League and Champions League victory with your Vanarama North side. But depending on the challenge, you might set yourself a time limit of anywhere from 5 to 20 or more seasons to get it done. The second idea I'd give you is to choose your club carefully. Choose a club with a bit of history, with a backstory. Now, this might be a fallen giant, a team that was up at the heights of the domestic game that over time has slipped back through the divisions. Now, we've got plenty of examples in England of teams like Sunderland, Portsmouth, Bolton that have suffered near financial ruin, but there's also teams like SV Hamburg and FC Kaiserslautern in Germany, former champions who are now outside of the Bundesliga. Or you might pick a team that's been around forever, for 100 years or more, but never really tasted success. A popular choice this year, for example, in England seems to be Kettering Town, who are now in the Vanarama North. They've been around since 1872, but they've never really won much, so maybe you could come in and help them do that. Or you might go for a team from an interesting location. My mate FM Greeno did a video that was quite popular, looking at teams with unusual stadiums, so you might want to check that out and pick a team from there. I also recently looked at 6 obscure teams to manage, and we found a team in Colombia, Real San Andres, who are actually on an island in the Caribbean that's part of Colombian territory, so you could challenge for the Colombian title and the Copa Libertadores with a team from off the South American mainland. If you spend some time doing a little bit of research, finding out about interesting clubs and their histories, their stories, it just helps you get that little bit more invested, helps you write that next chapter in building that story. On the flip side, what about going for a club that has little or no history to speak of? There are new teams that come into leagues around the world every year, hundreds and hundreds of them. Perhaps the most prominent recent example would be something like David Beckham's Inter Miami in the MLS. Or one of the newer additions to the game, the Canadian Premier League, with pretty much an entire roster of new teams. Or in England, Phoenix teams like AFC Wimbledon and Chester FC aside, you've got a team like Dagenham and Redbridge. They've only been around since 1992. They're spring chickens in terms of the English game. So the great thing about taking over a club like this is you've literally got a team with a trophy cabinet waiting to be filled. You get to write their story completely, mould them in your own image. Now, if you're finding Football Manager a little bit stale after years of play, the obvious advice to give you is to change up your style of play. So maybe you're normally someone who does a single club and takes them through the divisions or turns them into the dominant force in their country and their continental competition. So if that's the case, why not try a journeyman? Why not set up a game where you start unemployed and just see where the job offers take you. Likewise, if a journeyman's normally your thing, why not pick out a small club, one with a story that interests you or one with no history that you want to write yourself. Maybe if clubs are your thing, you might want to check out some international management. The key thing is, every so often, once in a while, just mix it up, try out something different and reinvigorate your love for the game. Kind of an extension of changing up your general style of play, single, club or journeyman. This is maybe one for the more advanced players, but you might look at setting yourself some restrictions to add an element of challenge. So you might go for a restriction like spending absolutely no money, free transfers only. You might go for homegrown talent, try to win the Premier League with a team made up of only English players. Or you might force yourself into a journeyman save by saying maximum of 3 or 4 seasons at any one club. But whatever you do, whether it's about transfer policy, whether it's about time spent at clubs, whether it's about the specific tactics that you use, setting some restrictions, some limits on the game can add an extra element of challenge, an extra element of fun, and give you something to really sink your teeth into. And my final piece of advice, and perhaps the most important one, to really help you get invested in building your club, in telling the story of your save, is to create some content. Yes, you should become a Football Manager content creator. Now that doesn't necessarily mean you have to start a YouTube channel and make Let's Play episodes and upload them here, although of course that is what all the coolest Football Manager players do. It might be that you go for streaming over on Twitch, or you might join the legion of FM bloggers and start writing out your story. Or like Michelino, you could do all 3. But the thing I've found over the years, even going back before I did YouTube, when I used to write about my careers on the SI forums, is that sharing what happens in your save with other people, with a community, building up those relationships with other players of the game is a great way to further your own investment and involvement in your save. Not everybody likes Football Manager, it's a bit of a niche game. If I didn't create content, I'd have nobody who'd be interested in hearing my tales of how I took Andorra all the way to Nations League Division B, or how I helped Gençlerbirliği in Turkey break the dominance of Galatasaray, Fenerbahce and Beşiktaş. But by making these videos, by writing on the forums, by contributing to Passion for FM, I have reinvigorated myself and I just keep renewing that love for the game through that engagement with the community. So create some content, get yourself on YouTube, Twitter, blogging, the forums, some combination of all of those. Get yourself on Twitter and Discord, meet up with like-minded players and share your tales of football management around the world. So that's all for today. Those are my 6 tips for how to get invested in a long-term save in Football Manager. As ever, please do go down into the comments below, let us know how you keep your saves and your interest levels in the game going long-term. And please, while you're down there, do hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. So I'm Dodgy Gamer, I'm off to start off my long-term save for Football Manager 2021. Hopefully see you back on the channel soon.